Hey, late night from Willowdale. We did a previous video. I was rambling and incoherent, but I want to do a quick one for 5 minutes because that's what people are interested in. So we're going to start with Quebec. This kneecap ban, Bill 62. Bizarre, bizarre, bizarre. I've often thought of Quebec. As a mixture of Saudi Arabia, North Korea, and Turkmenistan. Kind of bizarre place with weird language laws and bizarre religious laws. And of course, Bill 62 has just confirmed what I thought. Banning, you can't get on a bus or go to a library if you take your burqa off. That's so stupid. It's so silly. And it has nothing to do with secularism. It has to do with the fact that Quebec is in many ways an anti-Muslim place. They don't like Muslims. They don't like brown people. It's not a progressive place, and hey, they're not taking the crucifix down from the National Assembly in Quebec City. Christian symbols are great in Quebec. They just don't like Muslims, and that's clear. And the Quebec policy is very discriminatory. I think it's an embarrassment to Canada. And yes, there are lots of these kind of laws in Europe against burkinis and burqas and all that stuff. But I didn't think Canada would go there. And Quebec is a province of Canada, yes, and provincial rights are important. But yeah, this is an embarrassment to Canada. And you know what? Nobody ever wanted Quebec to leave Canada. But at some point, Quebec is leaving Canada. We don't want Quebec to leave Canada, but Quebec is leaving Canada. Canada's moving forward. Canada is a cosmopolitan, progressive place. Yes, it's not perfect, but most of Canada is a cosmopolitan, progressive place. Quebec is still in the 19th century, and at some point, maybe it's time for Quebec to leave Canada. They want to become the Turkmenistan of Canada. That's fine. Just don't embarrass us anymore. I'm embarrassed.
Okay, we're at 2 minutes.
I'm embarrassed that Quebec is part of Canada. This law is so pathetic, and I believe in secularism. I believe we need to move to more secular society, and that means getting rid of Catholic schools and all of that. But yeah, what Quebec has done is ham-fisted, stupid, and it's discriminatory. Anyways, let's move on quickly because I'm redoing this video because I did a long rambling video. Last week, we had this whole thing with this weird Canadian American couple rescued in Pakistan, and I thought the media put way too much attention on it. Who cares? This couple was hiking in an Afghan war zone. They got captured by the Taliban and whatever, and they became part of the Hal County network in Pakistan, whatever. Why do we spend all these resources getting that? Like, who cares? And weirdly enough, they had 3 kids in captivity. That's bizarre. Why all the media? Why all the resources that we spent on trying to rescue them? What the hell were they doing hiking in a war zone anyways? It reminds me of all the stupid people that hike up mountains or snowmobile in avalanche country and they expect people to rescue them. Come on, like, who cares? And why these people are considered sort of like heroes is bizarre. Way too much media spent on that crazy Canadian American couple and their family. Who cares? And whatever. Let's move on to of course that happened on the same weekend of the same massive horrific events in Somalia where 300-400 people died in Mogadishu, and nobody seemed to care. On CNN on Sunday, they didn't even cover it. It wasn't a big deal. They didn't even cover it. And Toronto Star had the big headline with interviewing one of the crazy Joshua Boyle and his whatever. They had a huge headline interviewing this crazy Canadian-American couple rescued in Afghanistan, they didn't cover this. The Somalia thing was regulated to the inside pages. Now, on Monday, obviously, they had some bigger headlines because the death toll really was horrific. But on the Sunday, CNN didn't even cover it. It wasn't an issue. Americans just don't care. Imagine if 300-400 people died in an American city. You know, but hey, it goes to show how racist and the Western media is. It's incredible. Okay, I'm going to move on here because I really want to keep this video to 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Yeah, so Vegas. So going on. Imagine if the going back to the Vegas shooting of a couple of weeks back. Imagine it, which was a minor event compared to Somalia, but the New York Times had this fascinating graphic. Since the Orlando shootings in June of 2016, there were 521 mass shootings in the United States. 521 mass shootings. Okay, since the and that was before Vegas, and after Vegas, there have already been a number of mass shootings, and of course, the U.S. government has done nothing. And of course, Vegas is now not even an issue anymore. As I said in the last video, that's the new normal in the United States. The shootings happen, nobody cares. But imagine that shooting in Vegas had actually been done by a Muslim. Oh, there would have been a hysteria and outrage. But since it was done by just a good old white boy, a good old American, who had a whack load of weapons, hey, it's whatever, you know, that's a good old white boy American, and that's what Americans do. They just love to kill each other. So the story just disappears. Gun control, forget it. As I said in the last video, it's not going to happen. If it's not...
There's a bit of moral relativism at play, right?
Yeah, exactly. If it's not committed by a brown person or a Muslim, then it's not terrorism. And if it's committed by a good old white American, well, it's fine. That's what we do. We just kill each other, and that's fine. So, but obviously the Vegas shootings got a lot of media. But this 300 people, 400 people died in Somalia, nah, whatever. Doesn't register because, anyways.
That's brown people killing brown
people. Those are brown
right?
people killing brown people, and nobody cares. And it goes to show the racism in the Western media. It's just stunning. Now let's move on to Trump. We'll end this video on Trump. Every decision Trump makes the U.S. more isolated. We talked about in the last video about Iran. Trying to get out of the Iran deal or desert, whatever. He hasn't canceled the Iran deal yet. Everything remains in place. But he wants to. Just like he wants to get rid of NAFTA and he got rid of the TPP. Everything that the Trump administration does, Trump's whole thing was make America first, but it's about making America last. Everything Trump does makes America's enemies stronger. Okay? It goes to show you, this is a classic example about, you know, you want to... One of the tenets of American foreign policy since 1979-80 was to contain Iran. Well, of course, that never worked because Iran became stronger because of actions. And clearly, when Bush invaded Iraq in 2003, Iran became a much stronger power. Trump's actions since he took the presidency have made the United States more isolated, more lackluster, everyone laughs at the United States now. Okay, pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. which was a deal that Obama orchestrated to keep China at bay. China was not part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which I think was kind of silly, but that was a deal made to isolate China, okay? And it had all the major powers in the world, Canada, all the Pacific powers, including Canada, and it also was actually a good deal because there was an update of NAFTA. It included environmental and labor rights.
Dispute resolution is a huge one too, right?
Yeah. Trans-Pacific Partnership was basically an updated NAFTA and included parts of Southeast Asia and whatever. Okay, Trump pulled out of it. So, what's the deal with that? China is more emboldened. China was not part of that accord, and now China is more emboldened. Trump pulls out of the Paris Climate Accords. China is more emboldened. China is the leader in solar technology. China is the leader in green energy. China is more emboldened. China employs far more people in green technology than the United States does. Everything Trump does makes America worse. He's definitely, NAFTA is done, right? That's obviously, Americans don't want to read. So, what's that going to do? That's going to embolden Canada, Mexico, and others to seek other trade agreements. Again, the United States is isolated. NAFTA will have, the collapse of NAFTA, and it will collapse, will have major economic ramifications in the United States. But Trump doesn't care. He just does because he has this narrow, ignorant base that he plays to. Whatever. So, that again makes the U.S. more isolated. The Iran deal, pulling out of the Iran deal, it was a classic. Europeans, the Russians, the Chinese said, we're going to stick to it. We're going to trade with Iran. Iran is emboldened. And, again, the U.S. is isolated. Everything Trump does isolates the U.S. So it's not... everything Trump has done has made America last. Has made America the loser. Has made America the most isolated country in the world. Who's the winners? Russia, to an extent. China, obviously. Iran. All America's so-called adversaries are winners. So Trump's policies have made America the biggest loser. Yes, America is a powerful place. Massive internal economy. They don't really need a lot of trade agreements because they have this massive internal economy. But they still kind of need the world. And Trump is going to make the U.S. a pretty screwed up place. And Trump doesn't really care because he never reads anything, he doesn't know anything. He makes decisions on the fly, and he just doesn't care. And his advisors, they don't seem to care. And, I've rambled on.
We're at 13 minutes.
13 minutes, that's way too long. So, but we're living in really weird times. Today there was a benefit in Texas, and all the 5 living presidents were there. Carter, the 2 Bushes, Obama, and Clinton. And I'm thinking, Americans must be thinking, oh my God, to live in a time of normalcy where presidents thought, and there was, there were actual, even George W. Bush, who we all laugh at, he seemed totally sane and normal compared to Trump. And how long is Trump going to last? Because the U.S. will definitely... the United States is heading for a real implosion. Because they can only... I'm going to save this for another video, but... you can only do so many destructive things. And I'll save that for another video. But yes, Trump is heading the United States into a very destructive cycle where they're becoming very isolated. And the world will move on. So, on that note, that's it. That's all I want to say.
Okay, we have what would you want to call it? Confirmation?
Yeah.
Okay,